Okay, you're on. Go on, fellas. Get around the piano. Let's have a good go. Come on, then. Are you ready? Come on, you lot. Go on, then.
Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay. Oh, 'tis our delight for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay.
Hello. Right, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit here. I've got a real setup going on. I've got screen to my left-hand side because I'm going to try and do some sort of reaction to the team news when it comes out. It may or it may not work. I've got screen sharing all set up for when it comes on, so hopefully we can pick the team news up from there. I'm hoping that it's 6 o'clock. The club normally release it an hour before kick-off, so I'm hoping that's still going to be the case. But you will notice, of course, that it isn't 6 o'clock yet. It's actually 10:02. Which means we've got a couple of other things to talk about. So I just wanted to run through kind of some of the day's news, and really, the big news is the capture of Jamie Sooley. I think it's Sooley, Sol, I don't know. You know what I'm like with my pronunciations. So obviously we've captured the West Brom striker. Someone I know I keep mentioning it, someone that I spoke about a year ago. Now, a year ago, he was really highly rated. Borussia Dortmund were thought to be looking at stealing him. He'd scored bags of goals for the under-18s. Really exciting player. And he was one that I thought we might sign. Now, to be fair, picked him over Callum Morton at the time. Callum Morton's gone on to kind of be a little bit more successful in senior football. I'm going to pronounce it Sol, and if I'm wrong, I'll then be corrected at a later date. So obviously, if I will call him Jamie, that's the best way, isn't it? So obviously Jamie went out on loan at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year, or halfway through last season to Barrow, same time that Callum Morton joined Northampton. Now that might give you an indication of where they are in terms of their development. That Morton went out to a League Two club for his senior football, and Jamie went out to a National League club. Bear in mind he is younger, so I'm not trying to do a comparison here, but what I'm trying to do is demonstrate why he went out to Barrow instead. He had a bit of a rough time at Barrow. He only got on twice from the substitutes bench, didn't get very many minutes before the season was curtailed. Obviously, Callum Morton had the opportunity to play in the playoffs for Northampton, and therefore his short-term loan looked much more successful, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, Morton had more of an impact in the early stages of his loan spell with Northampton. So yeah, I mean, it's cover signing, isn't it? We know we're short up top. Technically, we've only got one out number 9 when Morton's injured, which is Tom Hopper. I know that Anthony Scully can play there. I believe that Anthony Scully prefers to play in the number 9 role. But at the same time, sometimes you need that kind of little bit more physical strength. He's a 6-footer, is Jamie. But let's not forget where he is in terms of his development. I don't think he's going to be a player that's going to come in and smash it like Morton did at Northampton last year. But I do have a sneaky suspicion, watching some of his goals back on Wyscout earlier today, that he's got a habit of popping up in the right place at the right time. The 2 goals that you can see on Wyscout that he scored for the under-23s and the under-18s at West Brom, both against Manchester United, were both very similar. Crosses from the wide area, one wide right, one right left, and he's coming in at the far post and putting the ball away. Think Lewis Monsma, where he's arrived in that sort of area, but these are more from open play and cross. So it's going to be interesting to see. He might be that fox in the box. We might see him tonight, as I understand it. He has been signed in time to play this evening, but when the team's announced, we'll have a little look through that and pick up the bones. I don't think he'll go straight into the side tonight. I don't think that he'll start as number 9. I have got some thoughts on the team, which I'm going to throw out there before it gets announced and then get shot down and made to look like a mug afterwards. But first of all, let's go through some comments. Now, excuse me for looking away from the screen. Very impersonal, I know. I'm not Sam. Sam's a very, very slick presenter. Sadly, I'm not, although I have combed my beard, so you keep it. Right, let's have a look at some of your comments already streaming in. So we've got Sid up and up the Imps. Match time for some players tonight. Be nice to win and keep the run going. Yeah. Win tonight is going to be hugely important, and I'll tell you why in just a second. I've got David Johnson, nice retro kit. Yeah, he's becoming more of an imp all the time. This boy, before you know it, he's going to have emigrated, and he'll be buying a place in Lincoln. Johnny Dalton, top man, evening mate, evening to you, JD. Hope you're well. Your friendly neighbourhood postie, Edward. Edward Brett, my good friend Ed. How are you, mate? All good. Apparently, I am bad man ting, so that's great news. Thank you, Cornell. Good to see you, my friend. Lee Addlesey win tonight. Few changes, but building very strong squad. There will be a few changes, but not players who are going to be coming in as token gesture, I don't think. I think that's probably important. Very quickly, Mr. Haddon, have I had my ears lowered in a beard trim? Ears lowered, no. It's scheduled. You can see it kind of puffing out at the sides, but I've given the beard a wash. So there we go. Sorry, I can't get through them all. I've got Andy Sawyer saying evening, Gary. Kate Jackson, evening, Gary. Dane is already having a stab at the team. He thinks Teo will start tonight. I'm inclined to agree. Dave, he's going to move next door to Cornell. Fair play. Rather you than me. Cornell's a lively character. He might keep you up all night with his music. And evening, Gary. Look forward to the views from Terry. Right, so what I wanted to look at first of all was the situation in the division at the moment in terms of the EFL Trophy. Gives me an opportunity to hide. This is the league table as it stands. Man City under 21s have been absolutely on fire. They've scored 7 goals without reply. I think they put 4 past Scunthorpe, 3 past Mansfield. They are, to all intents and purposes, through. The only way they wouldn't go through now is Mansfield winning, reversing a 7-goal deficit. I think us smashing Man City. It's virtually impossible for them. I think they've even qualified. My maths might serve me wrong there, you know. We will qualify tonight with a win, with an out-and-out win. We qualify. So that will put us on 5 points. Neither of the other 2 teams can catch us. We are through. If we win on penalties, that puts us on 4 points. If Scunthorpe were then to thump Mansfield and overturn the deficit, or Man City were to thump us as well, then they could qualify. So interestingly enough, we do need a full-time win, I think, tonight. We've got a bit of history with Mansfield in this competition as well, haven't we? As you know, we've played them twice in recent years. The 3-1 win where Ollie Palmer scored the goal and Luke Waterfall threw the ball back in the crowd and got the old red card. And then a red card for Michael O'Connor a couple of years ago when Mansfield had missed a Saturday due to international call-ups. If you remember correctly, they brought a really strong team and beat us 2-1. I think we got Jamie McCoon on in that game. But we've been done in fixtures congestion in this tournament because last year against Doncaster we were beaten, if you remember, and Doncaster hadn't played a game for like 8 months or something silly, and we'd played 3 in a week. I think that was the way that our previous manager sold it. So there we go. Quick look, see if the team news is out as yet. If anybody sees the team news before me, let me know, because obviously I'm kind of doing it on hop here. It's not being sent through to. Now, in terms of team selection, who would we like to see in tonight? Well, we've already had the call there for Teo Eden. I think we'll see Teo. I think we'll probably likely see Teo playing in the central midfield. Much depends on Max Melbourne's fitness. If Max is fit, and I haven't heard whether he's fit or not, be likely to see him at left back, I think. Probably with TJ Ayoma playing centre back, potentially. I think Alex Bradley will probably play right back. The options across the back four there are limited. You must forgive me, I haven't seen the team news, so I don't know if Joe Walsh is potentially fit or potentially available. If he is, you would think that Joe Walsh would probably play. So it would be particularly interesting there. So there's a few options across the back. You know, and much of what happens at the back then dictates what happens further down the field. For instance, Teo Eden. I'd love to see Teo starting in the centre of midfield. I think he's highly likely to. I also think that it's potentially an opportunity for Remy Howarth to play in the centre of midfield as well. Now, I spoke to Remy today for the programme notes for Bristol Rovers, and let me tell you that his boy is a likeable lad. Friendly, bubbly, really chatty, raring to go. His full story, or his story that I got from him, is going to be in the programme, but you know, there's quite a bit that isn't that clear from Remy about how he's earned his chance in professional football, the lengths he was taking while he was in the league, and a potentially career-ending injury as well. Really worth reading. I think Remy will get some time tonight. I'm not the only one as well. Dave Johnson there saying, and I'm confusing myself, so I can't get the comments up at the minute. But Dave Johnson saying that absolutely thinks that Remy will play as well. In goal, again, Dave Johnson's calling it. I think Ethan Ross potentially will get a run out tonight, just for the minutes. I think he missed the last one because he was injured, so Sam Long was on the bench and Alex played. I think this time round Ethan will probably play. It'd be nice to see Ethan get some minutes. I think he had a strong pre-season as well. Then when you move into the forward line, the options here are numerous. Highly likely that Anthony Scully starts as a 9, I think, tonight. Don't think we'll start Tom Hopper as a 9, because I think we'll be looking to try and preserve him for Bristol Rovers. But bear in mind, Michael wants to progress in this competition. Okay, Michael wants to go as far as he can. The prize money is going to be really nice. You win out straight tonight, that's 10 grand in the bank. That's good money. That's good money. In this climate, anybody needs, 10 grand is 10 grand. And if you get through to the next round and you start progressing again, that goes upwards. And we know in terms of spend what that does. The EFL Trophy, one of the Checker Trade Trophy win, enabled us to be one of the top 3 spenders the following season and lift the League 2 title. So let's not underestimate it. I know that there's under 23s or under 18s or whatever they are in the competition. It's the 21s, isn't it? I get that. I get all of the kind of moral objections that people have to the EFL Trophy. I understand. Right now, in terms of money, I think it's an incredibly good competition to be in. Steve Evans has said today that he doesn't care about it. Paul Lambert has said today that he thinks it was madness that it's played. The 2 managers that are missing, because Theo Archibald could play. We need to get minutes in that boy, because I think he could have a big impact for us. I really do. Let's just check, see if we've got the team news in as yet. We have not. So I think Theo Archibald is a player who we want to get minutes into. Zach Elbouzedi can't play obviously tonight, which I think is a little bit of a blow. So I would imagine that might be Harry Anderson on the right hand side. Harry was rested at the weekend for Brennan Johnson, as we know. I think that was with one eye on the fact that fixtures are piling up. But I really like his. I haven't got Michael complaining about it. But that's not a dig at our previous manager. I'm not. Everyone knows me. I'm not an anti-Danny Cowley person. But Michael isn't going, we've had to play these many games, or we've got these international call-ups, or he hasn't done any of that. He's basically saying, let's get on with it. I'm going to have to make some changes. I'll make those changes. I think we'll have probably a limited bench tonight as well. I think in terms of numbers, it's just going to be hard for us to put out a full bench. Let's have another check. Must nearly be 6 o'clock, people, surely. No, still nothing. Here we go, the starting 11. So we've got Ethan Ross in goal. That was a shout. Ethan Ross plays in goal. Looks to me, Harry Anderson, TJ Ioma, Sean Rowan and Teo Eden. So that's Harry Anderson playing right back, TJ Ioma and Sean Rowan in the middle of the defence, Teo Eden at left back, one would assume. Conor McGrandles, Remy Howarth and George Grant play in the midfield. Theo Archibald, Jamie Soule and Anthony Scully up front. Really interesting. Really interesting. First of all, there's the starts for Archibald and Howarth, which we called. I think that is really important. Let me just see if I can get that up for you so that you can have a look at it yourselves, because that was kind of the idea, wasn't it? Apparently not. No. Just bear with me. Technical difficulties. So are we going to be able to share that screen? Well, there we go. No, we can't. Okay, well, you read it anyway, so you've heard it anyway, so there we go. Can't understand why that's not working. Fuck it. So obviously up front, Jamie Soule playing straight from the start. Really interesting. I think that makes quite an interesting statement to me as well about the intent, because on the bench, Sam Long, Lewis Monsford, James Jones, Tom Hopper, Hayden Cam. Interesting that we haven't gone with Scully through the centre. No Alex Bradley in the side at all. Again, interesting. Don't know if he's injured or not. That's a good point. I think it's almost certainly a 4-3-3. Look, we've seen Harry playing kind of on the right-hand side as a wing-back before. Played as a right back, I think he's got the right sort of attributes. He's big, he's strong, he's got quite a bit of pace, he's got the defensive awareness more so than he did have. And also, when you imagine us going down that attacking right with kind of Anderson and Scully, we're going to attack really well down there. Covering the right hand side is going to be interesting. In the centre, Ioma and Rowan playing central defence when both have been playing as our first choice fullbacks is interesting. I think it says a lot about their character and how important they are to the side, because both are getting lots and lots of minutes. Both made their league debuts for us against Oxford. Both are just still young players. Let's not forget that. I know one's played for England under-17s, won the World Cup. It's going to be a big job for them tonight. I haven't seen the Mansfield teams yet. I'll have a look in a second and see if Mansfield have been downstairs. Conor McGrandles and Teo Eden in the midfield. Teo Eden's at left back. Conor McGrandles and George Grant in midfield gives the midfield quite an experienced look, and it's there that you can see that Michael does still want to go in this game. He could, I'm assuming Alex Bradley's probably injured or carrying a knock, but he could quite easily have gone as he did with Bradley and Howard and kind of gone with not a powder puff midfield, but more of a makeshift midfield. But he's got two senior pros in there, and Remy Howard, let me tell you, he's going to give 100%. If it doesn't come off, whatever, but he's going to give 100%. He's going to be playing in probably the James Jones role tonight. James Jones, really busy box-to-box player, has got to cover a lot of ground. We know Conor McGrandles can do that. I know Remy Howard can do that. I'm sure that we'll see that today as well. So that's pretty interesting. But as I say, Theo Archibald, really excited to see Theo get some minutes under his belt. He's one that I kind of championed personally. How I kind of, you'll understand when you read my stuff, I have those players that I believe in, and he's one of them. Teo Eden is the other. I thought Teo did really well at left back when he came up. The Blackpool the commentators were saying that he was all over the place, and they wouldn't want him at left back. Well, okay, he popped up in the right channel after starting the move, but I didn't see CJ Hamilton get better that much in the second half of the game. So I think that's telling. So I believe in TJ. I believe in Theo Archibald, in Teo rather, and I believe in Theo Archibald. And that's kind of the left-hand side combination. It's going to be a really new look left-hand side for us. Let's see how potent it is. And obviously the boy up top, I said I didn't think he'd play. We might see him get some minutes. He starts the game. That's preserving, almost certainly preserving Tom Hopper. When you look at the rest of the bench, Huntsman, Jones, Hopper, and obviously young Hayden Can, there are not a lot of options there in terms of being able to drop reserve players in. Would have been a game for Callum Morton had he been fit. So obviously we've brought his replacement in as well. Now let's have a quick look, and you must forgive me for a second, to see if we can glean much from the Mansfield Town team. So Mansfield Town's starting 11 is here. I would imagine that still won't let me share the screen with you. Let's have a look. Share screen. Mansfield Town's team. It's actually going to do it. So that's the Mansfield Town's team. Not a lot instantly jumping out at me. What I would say is that sometimes, or certainly in these games, it tends to be players that have got connections with the two clubs who do well. When we play Mansfield, you always see an Ollie Palmer or a Matt Green or a Matt Reed popping up. Tyler Walker has played for both teams and scored against us. I know he hadn't had Lincoln connections at the time. We've got two players in this side at least with Lincoln City connections. I can see Kellen Gordon playing there for them. Obviously, Kellen had some time on loan with us. So that's particularly interesting. He's a decent player. We know about Kellen. I think he's probably better than the reserve team of the League Two side, or on the fringes of the League Two side. Jordan Bowery is in there as well. His dad Bert played for Lincoln in the 70s, came on loan from Nottingham Forest. So that's quite interesting. I think that's James Perch in the middle of the park as well. Doesn't particularly help me out, I'm afraid, but I think it's James Perch who was at Nottingham Forest. So that's a really experienced player. Mal Benning is a player that I've liked in the past as well. Looking on the bench, another Lincoln City connection there in George Maris. He was on loan under Chris Moyes, really talented player as well, and was at Cambridge United. Stephen McLaughlin's just signed for them from Southend. He's kind of a first-team player there. Nicky Maynard has obviously scored a lot of goals in League Two and League One over his career. He's also on the bench. The boy Reed up top, I think, came from Torquay in pre-season, if I'm correct. Oh, James Perch pictured. Thanks, Stu. I'm the stats man, mate. I don't do pictures. Sorry, Stuart Wells has just told me that is, in fact, James Perch pictured. So there we go. I know about these players. I just don't know what they look like. Yeah, so that's an interesting side. I think it's just a relatively strong side for Mansfield. It's two teams who Mansfield don't look like they want to go out this competition. Some of those players that they're bringing in are going to be playing certainly for their League Two place, maybe at the weekend as well. Got to remember that, when you bring players in from the reserves, they're going to be hungry and they're going to be pushing for it and they're going to want to impress. I hope to see that from Remy. I hope to see that from Theo Archibald. certainly from Teo Eden as well. They're the sort of key players for me this evening, because they're the ones that have got points to prove. They want to be in the starting 11 next weekend. They want, when I'm doing this properly with Samashu and proper kind of production and all that sort of thing, those boys want to be the subject of our discussion. That's not their actual aim. They actually want to play football for Lincoln City, but that's kind of that'll be the end result. Do you know what I mean? But then you look at the Mansfield team. I think it's Jamie Reid up top, Kellen Gordon, players like that. They're going to want to impress as well, aren't they? They're going to want to be part of Mansfield's team that's trying to get away from the bottom of the table. The weekend. Right, let's have a look back through some of your comments. I've got to cook my own dinner tonight, I've been told. So I've got the steak, the frosting on the side, and I also need to be at the screen by 7 o'clock. I'm not going to do one of those watching on things. Cringe. I was going to think about it. Right. Lee Addlesey, let's get an away win to keep the mentality going. Yeah, absolutely. You know, winning is a habit to get into. And if your fringe players are in that habit as well, and you do pick up injuries or you do rely on them, then they've still got that going on. So, you know, winning here really is twofold. I don't like looking down the list of results and seeing the loss against Liverpool. I like to see W's and, you know, 1D, I think. And I like to see the old W's. So, you know, it's a good thing to get into. It's great for the fringe players, but also you've got to think about that. The old moolah at the end of the day. You know, 10 grand in the bank is well worth that. What else do we have? Dan James says, let's hammer the scabs. We've got lots and lots from Cornell. It would be unfair to pick them all out. Cornell does say, though, great to see Howarth playing, which I absolutely agree with. Stu Wells, yeah, he's a good lad. Says, nice to see Sam Long on the bench. Absolutely. Nice to see Hayden Cann on the bench as well. Local boy, you know, the academy has been packed with players who we've taken from elsewhere. Sam Long being one of them. Obviously, we've seen some come through from the academy, like Sean Rowan. There's Bobby Dean in the academy, who isn't in the first team picture yet, but will be. But they're all kind of coming from way away. Your Hayden Cann's a local boy. Could sing. He's one of our own. That's kind of the place that I think the academy needs to be. I think we need an element. The academy is brilliant at the moment, and to have found somebody worthy of a first team bench place tonight in the local area, you know, is just testament to the incredible work that goes in, and of course to the player himself. So, what else have we got? We have got very little. I've got loads actually. I've got hundreds of comments, but they're pretty much all the same. That was in Stu Wells again. How good did Johnson look on Saturday? Very good indeed. I liked him a lot. I think he's going to be a real threat, but obviously he's not there tonight. So we've got Bubs. Hello, Gaz. Bubs, how you doing, pal? Hope you're all right. Obviously not at the game, I wouldn't imagine, this evening. And Cornell, we'll pick one from Cornell again. Hayden Cann will be such a successful player with us Imps. Pretty sure that Cornell says that about everybody. But in this instance, he's almost certainly right, I hope. So it'd be nice to see the next Lee Frecklinton coming through. Almost certainly. Paul Mark, why are folk pushing free streaming sites? The club needs our iFollow funds more than ever before. Absolutely, I haven't seen that. I think the free streaming, to be honest, I can't. Do you know what? I'm not going to get drawn in it, because they're the same people that would want the club to spend money, or the same people that will then complain when they go under, or that says that Liam Scully's overpaid, and yet they're not helping to bring in the. Do you know what I mean? It's not for me. People keep pushing it. I'm massively against it. Turns out Bubs is at the game tonight, so he's probably watching me at Field Mill, which is interesting because he's watching me there, and then later on I'll be watching Field Mill. So I'm not sure that's ever happened to me before. So there we go. Look, I don't want to keep you too long. We've got probably 45 minutes to kick off. I just thought there might be a little gap in the market this evening for a little bit of video content. Obviously, we'll definitely be back with Matchday Live on Saturday, which I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of. You know, it's when I was a kid, I didn't want to play football because I always knew I was crap. I didn't like tackling, I didn't like getting dirty, I didn't like getting cold. I enjoy football. I knew I was never going to play to a good level. I wanted to manage a club, own a club, and when I realised that I wasn't going to do that, I wanted to be a pundit. And Matchday Live kind of brings that in. Some of this video content does, but it's self-done. It's like self-publishing. I don't class myself as a published author. I'm self-published. But you know, when Sam approached me to be on Matchday Live, I kind of validated some things for me, and I genuinely feel that it's kind of an aspiration that I've another one that I've ticked off. So do watch it. Have I got another banner for you that said something about yes, so we've got the new forum I wanted to mention as well. I'm sure most of you are already aware of it. Not meant to rival Vitals, absolutely stressing that, but this is the address for the new forum. Go on there, register, interact, read posts, comment on posts, get discussion going, because every penny that it makes will go to the football club. I'm publishing the views each day so that we can see how many views we've got. Then when the revenue comes in, it's reported at the end of next month for this month, and whatever percentage of the revenue the Real FL makes has been generated from the forum will go directly to the football club. So it's just our way of trying to put a little bit of something back in. It's your way of being able to go on, comment, talk about the Imps in a relatively safe space because it's moderated, so we don't get the abuse, you don't get all that sort of stuff, and just be part of the community. I think we've had nearly 60 people. I think we've had 60 people rather sign up already. 1,000 odd views a day. That can skyrocket if we all kind of buy into it and have a chat on there. So there's a match thread on there as well, which you can go and have a chat on. I know, seen a comment there from Adam Barlow. He used to be a staunch commenter on things like message boards, even my friend. They're a great community, so please, there it is. The reason it's on the Real EFL is because it's the site that's got adverts on it, generates funds for football clubs. So it's hugely, hugely important at the moment that we pull together. And this is a way that you can do something without putting your hand in your pocket. All you have to do is hover your mouse on a keyboard, tap away, have a conversation, keep going back, keep checking. It's your time that can help save the football club, or help, not save the football club, but can help the football club through these dark and turbulent times. Okay, so I think that's about it. Dave Johnson, a little bit of ego massaging for me, which I'm going to take all day long. You're really good on there. You and Sam have good chemistry, really enjoying it. And then, as if by magic, the shopkeeper appears. There's Sam. Go on, Gaz. Now, Sam and I actually first interacted on a forum, so that's kind of how important these forums can be. Many years ago, and this is how Sam and I met. Many years ago, we were in the FA Cup. I'm sure people remember. Played Northwich Victoria in Telford. I was driving at the time, a little bit hard up. A thing on the forum saying, anybody want to lift to the game? Petrol money only. Sam answered with his friends. We went along to a couple of FA Cup games, and ever since that, as Stu Wells says, football friends. But there we go. That's the beauty of these forums. It really is. And you do, while you're doing it, you're raising money for the clubs. There we go. And Sam apparently has paid David Johnson to say nice things about him as well. So I didn't realise that was a freelance role. I'm happy to do that, Sam, all day long, mate. No bother at all. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. Really enjoy even doing these kind of impromptu things. Make sure you tune into Matchday Live on Saturday. Please, if you are going to watch tonight's game, pay for it via iFollow, because that's money from the club's pocket. It's massively important. The club are not at the moment in imminent danger of going into Christmas, but the future is really, really bleak at the moment for all of football. But it's the clubs with the best fan bases and the clubs that where the fans are going to work together and they're going to do the right thing, that are going to survive. Doing the right thing is paying for iFollow. Genuinely, that's got to be the focus. Okay, pay for iFollow, join the forum, talk about Lincoln City, and most of all, do you know what? Just enjoy it. Enjoy the game.